Unveiling the power within. Do you know that in just 3 weeks, I helped an ordinary man transform himself from someone a woman ignored to someone she became completely obsessed with? Lacking confidence, he had spent thousands on gifts and bombarded her with constant messages of care, yet she remained cold and distant. But after applying the principles I'm about to share, he had her constantly seeking his attention, demonstrating the remarkable power of understanding and subtly guiding human emotions. From 7 years of psychological research and counseling, I've witnessed thousands fail in their pursuit of women they truly desire, not because they weren't good enough, but because they were simply fighting without the right weapons. Today, for the first time, I will reveal the most powerful techniques, combining dark psychology with Stoic philosophy, an almost perfect fusion of modern psychological power and ancient philosophical wisdom. Let me be clear, what I'm about to share isn't about cheap tricks or manipulation. This is the subtle art of understanding and guiding human emotions, not about coercion, but about understanding and working with the inherent psychological drives that shape human behavior. Prepare to be enlightened as we explore the delicate dance between dark psychology and Stoic wisdom, offering a roadmap for cultivating genuine attraction and building meaningful connections without compromising one's integrity or resorting to manipulative tactics. Let's go. Ethical responsibility. Before we proceed, I must warn you, after this video, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. You'll start noticing subtle signs that you've never paid attention to before. Most importantly, you'll have in your possession the most powerful tools to capture the heart of any woman you desire. Make sure you watch this video until the end because the final technique I share is the most crucial key, something that 99% of men never realize. 1. The art of scarcity, cultivating desirability through limited availability. The first and perhaps most potent principle in dark psychology is the art of scarcity. There's a fundamental truth that most men never realize: we always crave what we cannot easily obtain. Think about the Hermes bag that women wait a year to get, or those limited edition sneakers people queue overnight for. It's not because these items are tremendously better than others, it's simply because they're scarce. That's just how the human psyche ticks. We value that which is scarce, but devalue what is too readily available to us. But most men apply this wrong. When applying this principle to attracting women, most men do exactly the opposite. They're always available when she needs them, reply to messages instantly, and willingly cancel all plans to meet her. Then they wonder why she doesn't find them special. What they don't realize is by being that readily available, they devalue themselves in the eyes of the woman in question, but applying it is something that can be learned. The Stoic philosophers taught us what comes easy is rarely valued. As Marcus Aurelius said, a man's worth isn't measured by the time he gives to others, but by the quality of that time. In fact, studies show that it's about the chase, not the thing being chased. A publication by Helen Fisher in The Anatomy of Love emphasizes how our brains are wired to respond to scarcity by increasing desire and attraction, thus highlighting the psychological advantage of not always being readily available. I would like to share a story about this situation to understand it in a better light. I had a client who used to see a woman he liked almost every day, getting coffee, quick lunches, casual hangouts. After I advised him, he reduced it to once a week but made each meeting extraordinary. The result? She couldn't stop thinking about their next encounter. Here's the most crucial point when applying the scarcity principle: never appear to be deliberately creating distance. Dark psychology isn't about pretense, it's about genuinely building your value so that your scarcity becomes natural and worthwhile. I'd like to add to that a small bit of advice. So how do we apply this principle intelligently? First, you need to create a genuinely valuable life. Don't pretend to be busy, be genuinely engaged in meaningful pursuits. When a woman texts you, instead of immediately responding with, "What are you doing?" logically wait until you actually have time and reply, "Sorry, just finished a meeting with partners, I can talk now." The key here isn't the delay, it's the value behind that delay. Second, create quality experiences rather than quantity. One well-planned date filled with surprises and meaning holds more value than 7 ordinary meetups. Returning to the topic, let me share a real case study. One of my clients had been pursuing a woman for 6 months with no success. After implementing this principle, he started focusing on his career development, personal interests, and only met her when he could provide quality time. The result? Within 3 weeks, she was the one constantly seeking his attention. Remember, the goal isn't to become inaccessible, it's to become worth pursuing. When you combine dark psychology's principle of scarcity with the Stoic philosophy of self-worth, you create an irresistible aura that naturally draws women toward you. That's just the first principle. But it all starts with bettering yourself and understanding what you can bring to the table. 2. The power of calculated indifference, projecting emotional stability and high value. Let me share with you one of the most counterintuitive yet powerful principles in dark psychology, the art of calculated indifference. This isn't about being cold or uncaring, it's about understanding a fundamental truth about human psychology that the Stoics discovered centuries ago. Epictetus once said, "He who is overly attached to his own life will be a slave to the emotions of others." This ancient wisdom perfectly aligns with what modern psychology tells us about attraction and desire. What people see in you is what you see in yourself. If you are only seeking validation, then what will you be perceived as? Just a source of that validation. I'd like to share a story about Michael, one of my recent clients. He was completely invested in every reaction, every message, every slight change in tone from the woman he desired. If she took an hour to reply, his world would crumble. If she seemed less enthusiastic, his day was ruined. Can you guess what happened? The more he cared, the less she did. Humans are creatures of comfort, and while they want to be in relationships, they also don't want to coddle. I'd like to also add more advice for this situation. So why does this principle work so powerfully? When you show that your emotional state is completely dependent on someone else, you unconsciously signal that you're of lower value. But when you maintain emotional stability regardless of their actions, you demonstrate tremendous personal power. So how do we apply this principle effectively? First, adopt the Stoic practice of emotional self-sufficiency. When she takes hours to reply, instead of anxiously waiting, immerse yourself in your own pursuits. When she seems distant, maintain your composed demeanor. Remember, you're not pretending not to care, you're genuinely focusing on your own worth and purpose. I will reiterate. The actions you do say everything about you. To be useful in getting better, you need to start to be strong. I want to tell you about a powerful technique I teach my clients, the mirror response strategy. Whatever emotional investment she shows, mirror it back at exactly the same level, no more, no less. If she sends a one-word response, you respond similarly. If she writes a passionate paragraph, you match that energy. But here's where dark psychology adds an extra layer: occasionally deliberately break this pattern. When she expects you to be invested, show casual indifference; when she expects distance, show unexpected warmth. This creates an addictive uncertainty that keeps her thinking about you. Returning to the topic, I witnessed this work dramatically with another client, James. He used to overanalyze every interaction with his crush. After implementing calculated indifference, something fascinating happened. The less he seemed affected by her actions, the more she began to seek his validation. However, and this is crucial, this isn't about playing games, it's about genuinely reaching a place where your happiness and self-worth aren't dependent on anyone else's actions. Seneca advised, the greatest power we have is the power of indifference to what lies outside our own mind. Think about it, what's more attractive, someone whose entire emotional world revolves around your every move, or someone who would love to have you in their life but is completely content without you? This principle becomes even more powerful when combined with our next technique. What we need to do is be prepared. Be prepared and be ready for anything. 3. The art of creating perceived value, unveiling worth strategically. Let me share with you one of the most fascinating principles in dark psychology, the art of creating perceived value. This isn't about pretending to be something you're not, it's about strategically presenting your genuine worth in a way that creates an almost irresistible attraction. Humans are creatures of perceived reality, and we make subconscious choices to be with those who we believe will help us move up that hierarchy. The Stoics understood it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The value of a man lies not in what he shows to others, but in what he can accomplish." But here's where dark psychology adds a crucial twist: it's not just about what you can accomplish but how you present those accomplishments. I want to go into a specific instance where I was able to help a client achieve his goals. I want to tell you about Alex, a successful lawyer who came to me frustrated. Despite his achievements, he couldn't seem to maintain women's interest. His problem? He was too eager to display his success, listing his accomplishments like items on a resume. I taught him a powerful principle: mystery creates value. What the client understood was very crucial to moving forward. Let me tell you how to master this principle. Instead of telling someone about your success, let them discover it. Rather than mentioning your promotion, let her overhear you taking an important business call. Instead of talking about your workout routine, let her notice your discipline through your actions. The dark psychology element here is crucial. People value what they discover more than what they're told. When a woman feels she's uncovered something impressive about you on her own, it creates a stronger emotional impact than if you'd simply told her. But here's where it gets really interesting: the Stoic practice of understating your achievements actually amplifies their impact. When you accomplish something significant but speak about it modestly, it creates an intriguing disconnect that makes people want to know more. This in turn helps get people curious. What to do to get ready? There's a powerful technique I teach: the value vacuum. Instead of pushing information about yourself, create situations where others are pulled to ask about you. When they have to work to learn about your value, they appreciate it more. Remember, though, and this is where many men go wrong, this isn't about deception. Every hint of value you give must be genuine. Seneca said, "The false will falter, but the truth will endure." The art lies not in creating false value but in strategically revealing your true worth. Here's the most powerful aspect of this principle: it creates a snowball effect. When people perceive you as valuable, they treat you differently. This different treatment is noticed by others, which further increases your perceived value. It's a self-reinforcing cycle that once started builds tremendous attraction. Returning to the topic, by understanding this, you can turn all that around. A long time ago, I once worked with a client who was a self-made millionaire. His usual approach was to make sure everyone knew his worth. I taught him to do the opposite, to focus conversations on others, to show genuine interest in their stories, to only reveal his accomplishments when directly asked. The result? People became fascinated by him, constantly trying to figure out more about his mysterious success. This is a good way to get the conversation going. You can turn this around on the other people. Remember, the conversation and interaction is not about you. People tend to have more confidence in a social partner who takes interest in their dreams and life as opposed to talking about themselves. Remember that for the future. The goal is to make sure to implement this into your life as well. Here's the crucial warning: with great power comes great responsibility. This technique, when mastered, can create such strong attraction that you need to be careful how you use it. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology highlights how individuals are more attracted to those who reveal their positive qualities over time, creating a sense of intrigue and sustained interest. What you really need to know is what is in front of you. So focus on being present. All those times people say, "Stay focused." Well, listen to them. 4. Creating psychological dependency, the dance of presence and absence. Now, we're entering into one of the most powerful territories of dark psychology, the art of creating psychological dependency. What it looks like is not about toxic manipulation, it's about understanding and utilizing the deep psychological patterns that create lasting emotional bonds. We aren't trying to use this to make someone feel bad, we are just using it to help get what we want. To start, let me share a profound truth that combines Stoic wisdom with modern psychology. Humans don't bond through constant pleasure but through the rhythmic dance of presence and absence, certainty and uncertainty. We want what is not so readily there to get. Remember, people get bored. Constant availability can get boring. That's why it is very key to moving forward, what to know what to do. Think about the most addictive mobile games. They don't give you rewards constantly, they give you just enough to keep you engaged while always holding the promise of something more. This same principle applies to emotional attachment but with far greater power. To better understand, remember that you need a lot. The human psyche needs a lot in order to make something last. This is the goal in this part of the process. To better understand the dynamic, let me tell you about David, a recent client. He was the perfect boyfriend, always available, consistently loving, constantly supportive, yet his girlfriend seemed to lose interest over time. Why? Because there was no emotional contrast, no psychological tension, no space for desire to grow. When you're always there, then it is boring and not appealing. So, to start off, make sure to follow this advice. Then, what should you do? So how can you grow? Here's how to master this principle. First, create what I call emotional peaks and valleys. When you're present, be fully present, engaging, attentive, creating memorable moments. But then create strategic distance, not through games but through genuine focus on your own life and goals. As the Stoics taught us, the bow that is always stretched will soon break. That has a very deep point. I implore you to understand it. It's something that will help make you better. The dark psychology element here is crucial. People become psychologically dependent not on those who are always there but on those who create unforgettable experiences and then leave space for longing. They are thinking about you. After all, the best thing to do is make it all about you. Here's the powerful technique I teach: emotional time dilation. When you're with her, make time feel like it's flowing faster through engaging conversation and activities. When you're apart, make time feel longer by giving her mind space to wonder about you. Remember to make sure to not always be there. People get tired very easily, so you need to let yourself go for a while. Now, I don't mean this to be negative. With this, comes something that most people need to know. Make sure to note this piece of advice to follow along with the next steps. But here's where many men go wrong: they try to force this pattern artificially. Remember what Epictetus taught: no man is free who is not master of himself. Your absence should be filled with genuine pursuit of your own excellence, not empty game playing. I once worked with a client who transformed his relationship by implementing this principle. Instead of texting his partner constantly throughout the day, he would have one deeply engaging conversation in the evening. The anticipation of these conversations became a highlight of her day. You need to have a time limit on these kinds of things. Let there be a high tide and a low tide. Then it will come back around. What is most key is for you to be as ready as possible. Then what happens next is all up to how you handle yourself. This creates the natural flow and ebb. You are a human, and you can use that. A study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships emphasizes how intermittent reinforcement, where rewards are not always predictable, can create stronger emotional bonds than consistent reinforcement. The main takeaway of the lesson is that you need to understand how to play your cards. The human mind is easily manipulated. Make sure not to look at that negatively. Take a hold and understand what you can get. Here's a thought you need to have. Then what happens after that is all up to you. 5. The art of reading and leading psychology, mastering empathy and influence. Here we are. What I'm about to share might be the most sophisticated principle yet: the art of reading and leading someone's psychological state. This is where dark psychology meets Stoic observation, creating a powerful tool for understanding and subtly guiding others' emotions. It's what you do now, in a new stage of the life. You are evolving. You are growing. It's all about moving forward. You will get there. Here's an idea most will think about. As always, remember that if this is not you, it is okay. You can still be yourself and be great. To start off, let me tell you something most men never realize: women's actions rarely align with their words, not because they're being deceptive, but because human psychology operates on multiple levels. I had a client, James, who was constantly confused by his love interest's mixed signals. She would say she needed space, yet become distant when he actually gave it to her. She'd claim she wanted someone confident, yet seemed attracted to moments of vulnerability. The Stoics observed that people are disturbed not by things but by their perception of things. You may be right, but that doesn't mean you need to say you're right. Just follow along. And make sure that the other party is happy. You need to move forward with an open mind. Remember that things can change. All humans are able to do that. Here's how to master this principle. First, develop what I call psychological sight. Instead of listening to what people say, watch what makes their pupils dilate, what causes micro-expressions of interest, what triggers subtle changes in voice tone. These unconscious signals never lie. These are things you must do. What I am trying to teach are things that are not very widely known, but are there for you to take. Humans always want what they are not ready to do. I will keep reminding you, let there be space. All these things will be more powerful than you think. It's all about the mind. I will reiterate. After this I'll share what's next. So please keep going. One great powerful technique I teach is the echo method. When you notice a particular emotional state in someone, subtly mirror it back to them. If they're feeling excited, match their energy slightly. If they're contemplative, adjust your tone accordingly. What it looks like is not what you think it will look like. And then that makes you think about who you really are. It's something that can be very helpful. With this, comes other important advice. The human spirit is very strong. However, in reality, everything can break. So what you need to make sure is that you don't put too much pressure on your partner. Remember that humans have been around for thousands of years. You will get there. What the client told me was actually not what happened. But he was able to change and understand better about what the other person wanted. That's just what happens. There's nothing wrong with it. This might be my most controversial suggestion, but I promise that it will help. When you make this happen, you can proceed with life and be happy. The future can look bright. However, and this is what's important. When you become the best version of yourself, the better that people look up to you. It's a way to better yourself and get what you want at the same time. It helps make sure that you are doing your part. You can't force something that is not there. You have to find something to make it come alive. Then people see you as something important. Not just all the garbage that has been said before. This is the key to success. What makes it all happen is something that I can't even begin to think about. It's too good to be true. The art of understanding what people need is something that people look for. There's a reason they want a strong leader. People will like you and love you for it. All it takes is just you, and you'll see. 6. The power of strategic silence, amplifying presence through calculated absence. Let me introduce you to perhaps the most underestimated weapon in dark psychology, the power of strategic silence. Silence can be something that most people do not like. They feel like they need to keep going and make it all up to the other person. But with people, that's not what you can get. You need to have a pause and not say anything. Then that is what will really start to have weight. What matters the most is actually trying to get along with your partner. To make that happen, I will help you with that now. However, with this power, there needs to be great responsibility. This isn't just about being quiet, it's about understanding the psychological tension that silence creates. This makes you the better person. You need to help that version move forward. As a human, you just want to move along. To start, I will say that you need to try to understand. To better clarify this point, you need to understand that not everyone sees life like you. That's just something that is bound to happen. There are people who you will never understand. There are actions you will never understand. Be proud, but don't be arrogant. Be grateful, but be sure that you know what's going on. There's a lot in this world, but there's even more that you are a part of. Make sure you keep a level head in your thinking to move along with what the world will do. You also need to know that people change, even if it doesn't seem like it. You might think that people are the same, but they really can't be. You have to let them try to be the change that they can be. It won't always be in your favor. Sometimes you need to say, I am going to have to let you go because I cannot stand by and watch you go. Then that becomes the test, and then everything moves all up to you. What do you say, and what you do, says everything to you. All power is in your hands. It's all about the mind. Marcus Aurelius always said that. Think of it this way, it's just all you. You need to get that going. It's all just what you can do in the moment, but that is something you must do. I will help you move forward. Always remember, to think. I am serious. You'd be surprised at what you need to be doing to get moving along. With this, comes the most crucial thing to keep in mind. There will be failures and successes. But you can always only go up. With that in mind, you have to help try to make sure you can stay. Remember what you are trying to do here. 7. Control through freedom, nurturing attraction through perceived autonomy. Let me share with you the most sophisticated principle of all, the art of control through perceived freedom. You want power, and this is power. Here's what will happen, you will see that they want you too. Remember that, with all power, make sure to have great responsibility. Then, the ball is all up to you. You see, the greatest paradox in human psychology is this: people crave freedom, yet they're most attracted to what they feel they can't fully control. What you're going to do next will show them and prove to them that this is not about what you really are. You will be able to see just how good of a human you can be. Keep that in mind for the next journey to begin. I'm talking to you about the next steps and everything you need to know. Remember that the power of choice is the best and greatest power in the world. No one can take it away from you. What should you do? I worked with a client, let's call him Robert, who couldn't understand why women kept pulling away despite his strong feelings for them. His problem? He tried to control everything, their time, their attention, their decisions. I taught him something counterintuitive: true power comes from giving freedom while maintaining influence. Now, I don't mean this to sound toxic. What I mean is, they want the space to choose. It's the reason that they chose you. Keep that choice in their mind and heart. Humans want to take flight. That is what you need to let them know. You can still care, but still let them fly and try. You don't need to let go of love, just let go of the death grip that it might have over you. Remember, that it all starts with you. I think that is something that you must realize. Your journey is in your mind and heart. If you don't believe, then there's nothing I can do to help. After it's all said and done, that really can affect your mood and where you want to move forward. It's important to take a step and see just what needs to get done. You have to have that mentality to understand what comes forward. This requires honesty and a level head. If you are constantly thinking of other things, then your mood won't be up to task. It's important for you to fully see what has to be done. You will achieve it, all you need to do is believe. And remember that whatever happens, is for the better and something you will learn from. To bring it all together, let me give you a short little piece about a man who was a womanizer. He thought he knew how to play the game. One day, he met this very special person. His whole life changed. He didn't want to play the game. He wanted to spend his time loving her and helping her. So, his life completely changed. To end, as we reach the end of this journey through dark psychology and Stoic wisdom, let me share something profound. The principles I've taught you aren't just about attracting women, they're about understanding the deepest patterns of human psychology and using them with wisdom and purpose. The biggest message I can say to anyone, is to focus on yourself. It's not always going to be easy. But please, go on. Ethical mastery and the path to authentic connection. These principles aren't about manipulating or controlling relationships, they're about building a strong foundation within yourself so that any relationship you enter enhances your life rather than defines it. The Stoics understood something profound, that true strength in relationships comes not from what we do but from what we refuse to do. Remember, true power isn't about control, it's about understanding yourself, understanding others, and understanding the delicate dance of human psychology. Use it wisely, use it ethically, and most importantly, use it to create genuine connections, not just to satisfy your ego. For those of you who want to dive deeper into these principles, I'll be releasing an advanced series soon. Remember, true power isn't about control, it's about understanding.